What's up, everybody? Happy July 4th. I'm Sam, and you are watching Breakdowns with Betty.
No!
What?
This is how you do it. Hey everybody, happy July 4th. I'm Evelyn, that's Dad, and you're watching Camping with Katie.
Once again, we're getting hooked up to go. It is June 2023. Time for summer vacation and a camping trip. This time we're getting ready to go to what we expected to be was sunny South Carolina, to the Murrell's Inlet area south of Myrtle Beach, to Huntington Beach State Park. We plan to stay there for the week along with Katie's family. Took us a minute to remember how to get everything hooked up and get back on the road. With some fresh water in the appropriate tank, gas in the appropriate tank, and everybody in the truck, we headed out.
So our plan was pretty simple. We would load up everything, and on day one, we wanted to make it at least halfway or a little over halfway towards our destination.
So we found a place near Aiken, South Carolina. Made it a little over halfway, more than 4 hours into the trip. And there was a small RV park there, not too far off the interstate. Sandy Oak RV Park. We stayed there for the evening. Didn't even have to unhook the truck, but they do have full hookups on most of their sites. It's about $50 to park and to get the air conditioner running. And all in all, it's a nice little park. Don't really have a lot of bathroom facilities or that kind of thing, but I expect with full hookups, they expect you to have what you need with you.
On day 2, we set out across the country to our destination, Huntington Beach State Park.
About a 3.5 hour drive cross country. We did stop in at Georgetown at the Walmart and Wendy's to stock up on supplies and get lunch. And then we continued on to Huntington Beach State Park. This is kind of a quick tour around of the park. It is a nice park. Many of the sites do not have full hookups. They do have a loop, and I use that term loosely, where you can park and have full hookups, but the sites are not nearly as big as the rest of the park is, and a little more like just an RV park, I suppose. campsite was on the northern side of the camp loop and was back up in the trees a little more, though most of the campsites seem to have some kind of tree nearby, if not covered. We were in kind of more of a forested area. One thing we noticed is even before we had stepped out of the truck, the mosquitoes were biting this time. Kind of unusual, but there it was. We invested a lot in bug spray over the week. The site itself, though, is pretty big, and we were only a few sites down from one of the 3, I believe, bathhouses that they have available, which are air conditioned and pretty nice. If I'm correct, there are 4 beach accesses from the state park. You have 2 public accesses, one near the check-in store, one up on the northern end of the park, and then 2 that go directly from the campground itself. One of the other features is this causeway, and there's a freshwater pond on the right-hand side, and alligators. Just about every time we went across the causeway, you saw at least one alligator. Sometimes, depending on the time of day, we would see more than 20. The girls claim they saw over 30. But there were a bunch. No swimming. The check-in is also at the camp store, and it is one of the nicer stores at a state park, I would say. Get a little bit of everything. Did not have fishing tackle that I ever found, but a little bit of everything else. In regards to the beach accesses, the northernmost is closest to the jetty that is actually part of Murrell's Inlet, and it is paved from the parking lot. There's a bathhouse there, I think a playground, and some other features, but you can walk out to the beach there on a paved pathway, and very nice for just access. The access at the southern end of the campground, which is nearer to the entrance and probably just as popular, if not most popular, was also very nice and I believe paved out. The northernmost access inside the campground is this trail, which is not paved, but is still nice. And after you walk a little ways, you come to a wooden boardwalk that then takes you out to the dunes, and then there they have those sand mats for you to be able to walk on easily to get out to the beach. The access we used most was the other access from the campground. You could get your wagon or whatever and take it down a paved pathway until you got to the sand mats at the dunes. It was very nice to be able to get there. Another feature there at the campground is the Atalaya Castle, and it is fashioned after kind of a Spanish influence. And you know, they were pretty amazed. Everything there was built, I think, in the 1920s, 1930s, which didn't impress me much considering our house was built in the 1860s. So anyway, a lot of things looked familiar, including the plumbing. The girls and I took advantage one evening of the haunted castle tour. You go after dark with flashlights, and they take a few times, I think 3 during the tour, to tell 3 different ghost stories. It's not all that intense, kind of neat and different, and obviously cooler in the evening. The great thing about camping is after a long day, you get to go back, eat your own Cheetos, and air out your feet. We also took advantage of the proximity of the Brookgreen Gardens, which is right across the highway, and they've got some different things there. They got a wildlife park slash lowland zoo, and got some pretty good things there. You also get to see the old plantation. It was a rice plantation, and some of the features there. We didn't actually go through the gardens to see a lot of the artwork, but it's supposed to be nice, and for what we saw, it was nice. I think it cost us around $100 for the 5 of us. However, that ticket does last for the whole week, and so if you check in on a Tuesday, you get to go through the next Monday, and so it's a opportunity you may want to avail yourself to if you're ever in that area. And of course, why would you go to the coast if you're not going to go to the actual coast? So we did spend a little bit of time there on the beach. There were a lot of storms the first few days, and so that limited our ability to stay on the beach, but still had opportunity to get out and fish and make use of what sunshine we had. So while the kids played in the sand, I made use of the surf to fish. Caught a cannonball jellyfish first day with a crab inside, so hey, there's a bonus. Also caught some bluefish, maybe not pictured here, and then my nephew Alex caught a couple of small sharks.
Now, I'm not saying that my fish were a lot bigger than Alex's.
Here you still see some damage from Hurricane Ian last October, but the Nature Center has been rebuilt and it's really nice, and every day they've got some kind of animal feature event about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. In the morning they have different things you can do, including going out and using one of these nets to see what you can scrape up out of the marsh.
Left hand
Oh,
shoot.
he's got
Sorry.
one. Look,
Yeah, wanna hold that one?
Steve, look, he's got one for you.
Maybe. Let me see if I can get out far enough.
empty.
Oh, nope. There's something. Shrimp.
Hey, you got a shrimp. Shrimp.
Hey. Oh, no.
Where's the shrimp? Oh, there he is.
My only shrimp. My only catch.
Yeah, you got a shrimp. Makes you wonder, what else is
Part of the trip was spending time with our family, and so we got to see Katie's sisters, got to see Katie's mom and dad. Katie's mom and dad were staying just up the street from us on the loop there, and so every evening we came together and ate, celebrated birthdays, did all kinds of stuff, but had a good time together. Also, Randy and Sarah Lynn, this was their 50th wedding anniversary, and so we even went out for a few pictures one evening. For years now, I've wanted to catch fish on the beach. Didn't get to take a picture of my bluefish, but did catch this flounder on a spoon, and fished a different way than I ever have before, and caught 3 fish. So hey, that plus a jellyfish with a crab in it, and a shrimp with a net. Hey, it's pretty good for a week's work. I'm fairly certain the girls wanted to leave Micaiah buried in the sand for the ghost crabs. All in all, the last 3 days of the trip were excellent. Weather was beautiful, perfect, and so we had a great time, but it was a good time really all week long. So the vacation was finally over. We determined to head back and try to make it all the way in just one trip. And everything seemed to be going good for a while. We got back across most of South Carolina and made our way over towards I-20. Got on I-20, got through Augusta. Yeah.
So we were driving along, and as we were going, we heard a small pop, and then a gurgle, and then sounded like birds kind of tweeting or chirping, and then the imminent smell of failure.
Our radiator had given up the ghost. It actually cracked there at the seam, whatever you want to call it, but it was done for. So we were able to pull over, thankfully under a bridge, and get some water bottles and put enough water to limp to Crawfordville, Georgia, just a couple of miles up the interstate. A few miles off the interstate is Crawfordville, and there is a state park that happened to have availability, and most of their park was closed, but they're redoing it. And then this is their equestrian park, which is very nice, I suppose, especially if you have horses. But there were just a few other people that were there. We were literally 20 yards from the bathhouse, and so we made camp and tried to figure out what exactly we were going to do.
Finding ourselves in the town of Crawfordville, Georgia, 20 miles from everything except for the state park and the Dollar General, we found some of the people there to be very helpful, or at least somewhat helpful. There's a fellow named James that came whose mother happens to play piano at Crawfordville Baptist Church. He came to the rescue, finding that he really couldn't do anything. He said, "Oh, look, someone's already found the problem and circled it for you." Thanks, James.
Micaiah, in the depths of concern, made his dinner. The next morning, we waited for the arrival of our knights in shining armor. And when I say knights, I mean two older fellows. And when I say shining armor, I really mean a Honda Ridgeline. But my dad and Mr. Mike, a friend of his and friend of ours, brought 2 radiators to be sure we got the right one. After about 30-45 minutes, we got that radiator changed out there at the campground, and we're able to get ourselves back onto the road. And so we're ever so grateful for Mr. Mike helping us out, and for Dad driving him over. I guess it took him about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get to us, but that was the ticket, and that got us home.
All in all, we had a great trip, even though there were some nasty things.
Mosquitoes, thunderstorms, and this.
We still made it home safely. So, if you like this video, what do they need to do?
Like and subscribe.
That's right, and we'll see you next time on Breakdowns with Beatrice.
It's Camping with